What if Desigual were to receive the potential value associated with growing the revenue per transaction? Let's briefly discuss what's driving Desigual to grow revenue per transaction. Based on our knowledge and research of the retail apparel industry, we see that there are several key external drivers that are forcing companies in your industry to change. The first of them is the primary focus is on revenue growth, driven primarily through comparable store sales. Really, when we look at this, it's really driven by additional revenue per square foot and inventory turns, which in turn are having a positive impact on margins, not just on a gross margin scale, but also impacting the operating and net margins. Another factor that goes into the inventory turns is specifically the supply chain management from manufacture through distribution. And specifically, when we look at continuing and expanding the distribution, really social media has been a prime play there as you continue to expand the footprint here. It also helps to continue to build brand awareness and managing the brand and building that loyalty and satisfaction. At the same time, though, in continuing to grow into the developing nations here and continuing to build the B2C type business, security and fraud also play a primary factor. Based on these drivers, let's look at some of the key initiatives that Desigual has established. There are really four main business objectives. The first being to grow the retail points of presence, that is through the retail, franchise, and also through the wholesale distribution. And part of that distribution is really expansion into the BRIC nations, that is Brazil, Russia, India, and China, specifically in the Asia Pacific region. And really, when we're also looking at where that growth is coming from, the biggest point of presence is out in the ether, that is, in growing the B2C traffic in the e-commerce space, specifically in the mobile. And the last of the initiatives here, really that makes all of these click, is the growing the traffic and conversion rates. That is not just the store traffic, but also the mobile and web traffic here, specifically in turning those likes to views to purchases. What stands in the way and is preventing Desigual from achieving these initiatives? Let's look at the business issues associated with the growth in the retail points of presence and the e-commerce applications. The biggest issue that right now that you're facing is slow inventory turnover. Now, part of that is driven through in the new markets through the lack of consumer awareness. But the company is really doing an effective job in managing that through the media campaigns, through social and alternative media, as well as through mobility to drive traffic via Twitter, Facebook, Foursquare, etc. The bigger issue, though, is that a lot of times the inventory is out of stock, whether it be size, design, etc., due primarily here to fulfillment delays. And really, that's having a negative impact here because now it has a negative impact right at the front on the revenue per transaction, but more importantly here on customer satisfaction and the brand perception. Not just on this current transaction, but thinking about the future transactions, not only from this individual, but also in their friends, their connections as well, and impacting on the negative brand perception could have a negative impact here on future revenues per transaction, which would in turn hamper the ability to achieve the growth objectives here from the organization, both from a comp store sales and also from the inventories and margins here as well. We could help Desigual address these issues through the following capabilities. What if when in store at either retails, franchises, or wholesales, or even on the web or mobile, that the personnel and the consumer could have real-time access to inventory at any and every one of the company points of presence? If you had that capability to then ship directly to the consumer, would that help to improve customer satisfaction and also to do it securely? If you did that, it would not only improve customer satisfaction, but also improve inventory turnover And the two together, would that also improve revenue per transaction in comparable store sales, as well as improving the brand perception of the company, impacting future sales as well? Great. So, why our team and this opportunity? Let's look at other organizations in your industry who have solved similar business problems and created value for themselves and their customers with us. Companies like Target, Gap, and Burberry. So, projecting forward, what would need to happen in your organization in order to execute on these opportunities to solve these issues, achieve your objectives, and receive the types of value and growing revenue per transaction that we mentioned earlier in this discussion?